Again, we come to this darkness in order to shine forth the light. Now, Noah was the father of the Igigi demon bloodline, the predatory Emmanuela creatures, subject slaves that were left to man bases upon Moon and Mars. These were children of former abominations. Moral codes were made in the heavens to protect science from abomination because of them and because of their origins. Do you want to know why the albinos in Africa are endangered? It began in these long foregone eons. Do you want to know why we say you are what you eat? Then be patient, listen, and do not turn away. I have a mandate to tell you about a mightiful nuclear attack upon the land thousands of years ago. It almost totally destroyed the angelic earthman who are children of potent gods, but yet he lives. He lives, and the gods were sorrowful because their foolish ego had caused hurt to an innocent being who was nothing other than faithful to them for eons. That day, the Almighty God, who is Anu, reiterated a galactic and universal code and renewed the declaration to ban the use of nuclear weapons on the Earth planet. This law will still be in effect on this very day. Do you know and understand the story of Baba, which you refer to as Babel? Do you know that the Elohim encouraged man, his child, to grow, but it was the fallen demons that confounded his speech, vision, and bloodline, and made him adverse cultures, incompatible languages, and enemy races. He divided him in every quarter to thwart the project of the human grand rising into godhood. Because the gods were absent, and the space station where the stalwarts like Enoch communicated from was destroyed, man was left isolated on the earth with the fallen demon that the gods cared not to take with them. Do you know that Noah did not save the earth population of humans, but only saved the seed of the Chitauri demon? Fate and destiny saved the wonderful humans. Fallen Igigi devils saved the family of Noah. And I want to tell you why. Neither am I telling you that Noah, who gave humans meat to eat and started the sacrificing of flesh beings, was a bad person. These dogs are going on. I am telling you that beings are what they are. And Noah was the first of the Emmanuela human bloodline that saw themselves as the shepherds of men. Shepherds herd other living beings for slaughter or to steal their energies in various ways. I will not be long on any video because I understand the modern day attention span. Just make sure you subscribe and follow me to the end of these lessons. I am giving you these resources to the degree that no one else can, but you must deem it as important. I am not simply trying to tell you true unknown histories for no reason. No, that is not the most important thing. I am trying to open your minds to the degree that you can claim one of the almighty powers that the Elohim gods laid inherent in you. It is the power to conceive and do your own magic. At this point, you will not see how telling you these things will lay that foundation. However, I tell you, listen the entire video, share, subscribe, and let others share the knowledge. It depends on you to make these lessons go viral. It is the greatest power that will ever be given. So do share. There is a reason why you came in the first place. Listen, have patience. I come to speak to you. After the wonderful mother of man spliced the DNA of the humanoid earth beings and made the mankind, she took a DNA sample from the ribcage of Adam Eve. The mission was that these creatures would multiply amazingly so that the numbers to use as servants would be great. With the DNA sample from Adam Eve, a female was cloned. Finally, the mission was achieving success and words left from earth to heaven that great advancements had been done upon the earth. The scientists had created mankind. The heavens marveled. People were at awe. They wondered when or how they would get to see the divine works of the Elohim civilization back home. But in all of this, the emperor was reluctant. Anu, who was God of all gods, referred to and respected a higher power, especially on issues of cause and effect, fate and destiny, or karma and dharma. I felt like it was very important to state this about the Most High God of the Elohim. So take it however you like. At a certain point, man's intelligence began to be noticed, and the beauty of the woman to the Elohim was astounding. The Lord of the earth, the son of the heavenly emperor, was already related by blood, along with the woman who was the main character around the table at cloning. However, there were other males that kept impregnating these earth women, and so the earth stock kept becoming more godlike. One natural drawback to them thinking they would make beings more like them so that they could work as slaves was this. These beings would now be their children, and natural affections would become intrinsic. Exactly that happened. I mean, how are you going to slave and dehumanize children that actually have your blood inside of them? Man had an earth-like appearance and seemed identical to Elohim in that regard, except the following. As an adult, the mankind grew hair on his face and skin, unlike the gods, and they created a culture to make him shave his skin to appear more like Elohim. The human was born with a foreskin covering his private parts. It was unlike the gods, and the masters deemed it unclean. By the use of a god spell, they ordered that it must be removed at birth, or that human could not get to go to heaven like the child of Adamu or their father Enoch, who lived on a craft that hovered above the earth. So if you did not remove the foreskin, you were unclean and you couldn't make visits to heaven like those privileged mankind that went there. Some Elohim skeptics thought mankind was an abomination and some would rather them be destroyed. However, it got to the degree that even the most reluctant Anu found affection for these toddling beings. A very loved and intelligent human was sent to the heavens in a spacecraft. Because of the way of time and the circuits of perpetual motion, it took many Earth days to represent one day in the fleets, and the gods that came to the earth were aging even before their parents and grandparents back home. Soon, the wonderful scientists discovered how to make an elixir that could keep the body youthful. In the heavens, there was a potion kept by Anu that could render immortality to the individual. The Lord of the earth, Inki, although the greatest lover of mankind, tricked the man before he traveled to the heavens that if he was offered a certain drink, he should not take it. This because he knew by intuition that his father would fall in love with the human he was skeptic about and offer him immortality. The exact thing happened, but this human, remembering what Inky told him, refused the wonderful potion. The heavens then had the opportunity to witness and marvel at what their civilization had done on earth and how they were themselves like gods. This is the secret of the circle of life. As above, so below. Now they were like the gods that facilitated their being, as they now facilitated ours. Anu stayed in the heavens, but through a space station in nearby regions, he communicated back and forth with the Elohim on the earth. Elohim gods looked around and saw the mankind that they gloated about creating. This was an erroneous concept spurred by ego. If you chop off a man's hand and put it on his behind, you create a new design for sure. So we would agree. You might say you helped him, for now he could wipe his ass faster than before. But he might say you inconvenienced him, as now his hand is always smelling like his ass. Free will is not for one to choose for another. You say that now he is more intelligent, but the concept of intelligence is superficial. We are far too intelligent to have the slightest knowledge of truth. The beings that the Elohim came and saw upon the earth were more perfect because they were more connected. The gods had said it themselves, how happy and peaceful these frolicking humans were. Now, when it came to the gods, just as the people of earth today, intelligence was a pain in the butt. They bickered, hated, became divisive, and shoved missiles up each other's asses for nothing but just the kick of it. Who was more divine? He that claimed intelligence, or he that only cared to live, love, and be happy with the all? The ego of the gods were always skyrocketing. People wanted to rule their own empires on earth, have their own servants, and be raised to higher social statuses than others, or they would freaking fight for it. Man did not know science. Science to man was magic. Enoch went to a space station, saw the windows on a craft, and decided that the scary house of God that came to earth from the heavens had eyes as clear and colorless as water surrounding it, and also had thunder and lightning coming out of its ass, and so he fell onto the ground in fright. Long story short, when a rebellious Alalu, the pioneer, came to Earth to discover the Earth, humans, and pretend that he was the first human anyway, he had nuclear missiles with him, which he had stolen from the police. He used them to part channels along the Milky Way and prevent being crushed by some deadly objects in the passage. He found a cave on Earth and rested the ones he had left in there. He thought about how deadly they were and that, God forbid, they would ever be found and used upon the earth. But in time, after so many Elohim came to earth for the project, there were others private to the hiding place of these roasters. One was the most egotistic Elohim that ever lived. He loved war and worship, and he hated for anyone to even second guess him. He wanted to be hoisted like an emperor too. He was the Lord of hosts. He thrived in war and was a great pilot who loved fighting in the air. Yes, the 20,000-year-old book talks about pilots that love air wars. So someone can shove his arrogant idea about modern world up where the sun does not shine, and the effect will certainly open up his eyes now. The warlord came up with a brilliant idea to turn the esoteric into power over the less enlightened humans and start a culture of religion, where they, the Elohim, would be the perfect gods and the human their servants, whose very soul, free will, and understanding would be owned. By this perfect owning of a soul, there would be perfect servitude from mankind. If there were no spacecrafts 20,000 years ago, there would be no way a book could be talking about spacecrafts soaring through space and describing the galaxy like the author worked with freaking NASA. It is time for you to listen. I am not here to push this history, but the history is tied to the beginning of very incredible things I want to tell you. Do not get bored that I can't get to the point quickly. I sought all the possible ways. Be patient and trust me. The concept of creating a God spell came at a time when mankind was showing up to be too intelligent. He was definitely more intelligent than the Igigi slaves brought from the police to man stations on Moon and Mars, but could hardly manage the work to do mining on the earth. All they did was bicker and threaten to revolt. The mankind had proven marvelous achievement, and it was obvious that he could, in time, build civilizations to match that of the gods. The only way to contain him was by a restricting culture and vocabulary contained in a state of conventionalism our world paradigm. His vocabulary would become ambiguous and without clarity of truth to reason. For example, if the Elohim was a mere God, then the human will come to define God as big as the all, perpetual motion and creation itself combined. An example of a spell language of Baba is the newly conceived English language that was recently given to humans as an update for downgrade, an update for downgrade. No one who defines every word in English according to the conventional way can be free. I can challenge anyone on earth with this and I can stake my life on it. This God spell was conceived, but it was just to have the adoration and willingness of the humans to work hard. So the gods of Elohim could overcome their own challenges. These original gods are found as characters in the Bible today. The Bible was also created from these stories. There were great civilizations made under each god with human worship. But you know, the good shit would never last when these gods had ego and nuclear missile hidden in a cave, and then some other god wants to make a hasty remark like who got the bigger balls. Let's see with the missile. Ego will overpower intelligence and any day. Gods that were so wise that they could splice DNA and create rocket ships to travel the universe. Gods that could communicate across the galaxy and use science magic to fool mankind to this very day. Gods that wrote coded messages that are presently in the human DNA and claim that they were more intelligent than peaceful fruit-eating humanoids when driven by almighty ego, could only figure that in order to discipline that one brother in the room that say the wrongful name, they would run back to the cave, load up the missile, bring it back to the room, and shove it up the brother's ass. Then they would say he now disciplined, and everything would be financially again. Well, you cannot take a forest fire to light a candle in the room without getting burned. When the missiles go off, everything far and near will go off too. And even the missile pusher was only far or near. But all of the wisdom was but to him the afterthought. Who in this scenario would win? And was the aggressor the wiser one too? When that missile was cast, not even Hiroshima could believe it. Everything was about to blow. The horrible waves were coming fast. The guards loaded spacecrafts to save themselves. Someone asked, "What about the innocent humans?" Another said, "Let them save themselves." Another said, "They were abominations as well. Let it be." Another said, "No way were they the abomination. This creation of ours was fated to be." The gods returned to the earth after a certain time passed, and mankind had survived this Holocaust, the first Holocaust. Anu visited from the heavens and closed off the project. He lamented that mankind was innocent and had to suffer so badly because of the folly of the gods. He stretched his hands to the wide domain of earth and declared it the legacy of these toddling children of gods. The gods took to the sky. Almighty God Anu was choked up. Mankind watched their creators take to the wings of the wind. They left the children of God to create their own destiny upon the earth. But they did not pick up their Igigi slaves from the moon for the flight back home. They did not rescue those abominable beings around the dead remains of Alalu, who was exiled to Mars for his wicked, divisive, and rebellious behavior. They soared back to their own circuits, and it seemed like never would they return. In 24,000 years, there will always be a close encounter with the gods. These close encounters have nothing to do with the physical entities. They carry that energy of soul fire that impact the human being and spark their DNA with brighter light. This is one day in that perpetual motion. The mankind began to rise and thrive. He began to discover and build. Now he was about building his own civilization, using the wisdom that the gods taught him. For many men had shown extreme intelligence and had learned higher wisdoms. These diviners were the first so-called dark witches and magicians destroyed when science was tabooed as sorcery in order to contain mankind from obtaining godhood. And these taboos began because the Watchers came to earth and usurped the throne and the glory of the gods in their children. The Igigi demons, those Watchers from the moon and Mars, used the vessels they had on these planes, and they came to earth and saw the toddling children with the blood of the mighty Elohim. To them, they were looking at their own masters without the advanced wisdom of the masters. The fallen demons hated mankind with venom. They wanted to see the children of the gods suffer. They hated the gods who made them the slaves, and this would be their revenge. They would now be the creator gods. They would now own the souls of men. and they would put them to bondage. Stay tuned to hear the follow up to this video. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Peace out.